well as in different industries. So today's intelligent digital government needs to leverage on analytics, whether to predict service usage, outcomes, or deliver a robust understanding of why citizens are behaving the way they are online. Analytics informs policy making, detects and prevents fraudulent transactions. But don't listen to me just yet. Allow me to introduce you to our country manager as well as to our different resource speakers as they tell you more about analytics and how it can help us further. So to start our conference, let us welcome our country manager for SAS Philippines, Mr. Ryan Budal-Kimer.
Hello. Good afternoon to all of you. I don't know how much you know about SAS, but SAS actually has been the worldwide leader of advanced analytics for over 40 years. I would say that we invented analytics since 1976. It all started, of course, in Cary, North Carolina. Started out as a simple case of trying to help the North Carolina agriculture sector in terms of increasing their crop yield produced, right? And the rest is history, right? You can see that we've grown a lot in terms of the number of countries that we are present. And in the Philippines particularly, we started with a partnership with IRRI 28 years ago. And right now, we're very much present in some of the big growth industries such as telco. We're doing customer intelligence there. And also in areas such as bank. We're quite big in bank. We're working with bank closely with anti-money laundering systems, risk management, credit scoring. So these are the areas we are at, right, in terms of data analytics. Now, today, we're trying to expand our investment and footprint with the Philippine government. That's the reason why we have this event today. It's basically what we're present in the Philippine government, but more on their financial sector, which basically their banks and also some GOCCs. We're trying to see how we can expand a bit. We're in the use of analytics in such areas where we see, of course, the present administration is trying to focus on, such as, of course, crime prevention, fraud in the government, battling, of course, corruption also in the government, and also even revenue optimization, right? These are the areas that we want to focus on, of course, also ease of doing business, right? And that's where some of our key solutions in analytics, we can work with the government. We want to partner with them. We're investing with them on how we can work together in developing some of this. I would say that would help citizens have a better experience when dealing with the government. So basically, that's it. The event today, it's really about how we can partner with the Philippine government in terms of data analytics as we move forward. Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Sir Ryan. As technology continues to rapidly evolve, governments around the world are challenged to keep pace by harnessing the power of data. Analytics is the catalyst behind this transformation and requires a cultural change driving increased use of data and analytics across the organization. At today's forum, if any of you joined us in the other room, we were also graced by the presence of our global and regional experts of analytics, and I would say one of the best. And they will give us the highlights and key takeaways coming from their talk. First up, we have Mr. Gerard McDonald, and he is our Regional Solution Director for SAS Fraud and Security Intelligence for the SAS ASEAN.
So, hello, my name is Gerard McDonald. Were you all present this morning in the session talking about the data challenges?
No.
No? Okay, so then I'll briefly go over what we discussed. In 5 minutes, not 35? Okay, sorry, okay. So, the key point that we explained this morning was that we're all too aware of the challenges that the government is facing, that all of our members of the government are facing in building data silos. And the real problem we're getting to now is that those data silos have become so huge, they're starting to collapse. So we're getting to a point where they are desperate to change how they're handling that data. There is both a carrot and a stick that is the challenges or the reason for motivating them for change. The carrot is the value that they will get from that data, and my argument this morning was that governments have had a challenge in realizing the value from their data, and they haven't seen how sharing the data between different government bodies can actually bring greater value to all of the government members and to our citizens. So we focused on what that carrot would be. We used an example of a police customer in North Carolina, the home of SAS, and how they, through a very unfortunate situation and an incident that happened, were driven to start sharing data between all of the law enforcement bodies and enable law enforcement officers to see everything about their actually suspects and criminals in an instant, so, and no matter where they were, and make decisions on the spot about what should be done with the suspects that they've encountered. And this has made North Carolina a much safer place. It's saved lives. It's saved them, they estimate, in the range of $20 million in effective resource, more effective resource. But the most important factor was that it improved the lifestyle of their own citizens living in North Carolina. So that was the carrot. The stick is something we will talk about this afternoon, where we'll talk about the risks of fraud, waste and abuse, and how data can help protect our citizens from that side of it. Are any of you in the sessions this afternoon? Okay, so then I'll leak a little bit and just say that we will go through step by step the different types of fraud, waste and abuse that happens in the government, and demonstrate then the value and how easy it is actually to use analytics to make it a safer place. The one subject that's on everyone's mind right now is elections, of course, with the elections on the 13th of May. And we will talk about how we can enable the electoral areas to both get better insights into their citizens and to therefore be more responsive and deliver the right messages during an election, and then deliver the right results after an election, but also to check the integrity of elections and make sure that people aren't abusing the electoral process in some way or another to reach an undesired outcome. So with that, I'll wrap it up there. Of course, I mean, the other things that was mentioned today was monetizing data in the government space. And we talked about how data could be built, collected, shared, and insights being passed back to citizens that help the economy improve. We've all seen today how, or we all understand today how there's metrics that are not so good in the economic space. The forecasts are being lowered from, say, 6.3% down to 5.6%. You just mentioned, Ryan, there, the ease of doing business. That's one of the biggest criticisms the government faced last year, in fact, Philippines as a whole, is that your ease of business rating is the lowest it's been almost ever last year in 2018. And there's a huge pressure now to improve the ease of doing business. Analytics plays a huge role in improving ease of doing business, both for government and the government space, and the commercial sector. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard. So our next speaker, who has proven a while ago that he can actually have his own talk show, delivered the topic on the importance of having an analytical foundation. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you our SCN Director for Business Solutions, Mr. Patrick Meneses.
Thank you, Tina. I want to get my own talk show, so if you've got any ideas, let me know. So my role here at SAS is really to work with our top tier customers and making sure that executives, CEOs, CIOs, CTOs are establishing a significant strategy to get value from analytics. And the way that I sort of tie that to SAS and the Philippine government is, number one, I'm extremely proud right now of my Philippines. And the reason being is I think we Filipinos are in a very unique situation. Right, we have many different initiatives going across the country. So whether it be the build initiatives, whether it be the new elections, whether it be ongoing improvement in projects like greenfield projects, like what we're seeing in Clark City, right? The new innovative smart city that's going to be coming up. There's a tremendous amount of positivity that's heading our way. And analytics is within the DNA of how all of those capabilities and designs will actually be delivered. At the end of the day, to me, I'm not, even though I'm Filipino, I'm not a boxer. I'm not a singer. I'm not a dancer, but I am an analytic professional. And so, trust me when I say that analytics can do one of the most important things it's intended to do, which is to improve the Filipino citizen experience. And so when we think about Clark, and we think about a brand new commerce city, a new city for opportunities for our own Filipino citizens to be productive, help us increase our GDP, bring new business, new internal local resources to the market in that area, I'm extremely bullish, right? And even in areas that are brownfield, meaning areas that we have fundamental processes and things happening, things like agriculture, things like tourism, which continues to grow. We are taking the right moves and making the right decisions with analytics to enhance that experience. Right? I came in from Singapore, I'm based in Singapore, and every time that I come in through the airport, everyone realizes it can be a frustrating experience, but I see the glass is half full. Right? I see more automation actually physically happening. It's easier for me to get through the customs eyes more and more and more. Right? So while we're not there yet, the road is still quite long. It's analytics, and frankly SAS and the analytics and the work that we are going to be doing with the people in that room that is going to accelerate that value. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not about technology, it's not about models, it's not even about data. It's about the public opinion, and it's about improving the Filipino experience. So as a very technical solution architect who's involved in this event, working with the conglomerates of the Philippines and the private sector, that's what it's the forefront of my mind. At the end of the day, I don't care about the technology, that's just a tool and a mechanism. I care about what are the things that are impacting the Filipino citizen today. How do I get as close to that as possible? And then I can reverse engineer what I need to do as a technologist and as a data expert to make sure that that is achieved. And more importantly, that we have a foundation to course correct as the evolution and the maturation of the Philippines continues to evolve. Because that is really the key. Analytics is not a point in time. You deliver something and it's done. It will be an ongoing growth opportunity. And SAS offers not only the ability to solve the problems of today, but lay down a infrastructure and a foundation of capability such that as the Filipinos culture changes and evolves, and new smart cities and new capabilities and increased tourism and increased GDP because of build, we can course correct whatever idealism that needs to be course corrected that we had in 2019. And that is the key element of the messaging that I shared is how do we instill that type of culture, that type of understanding within the government bodies. So government bodies do legislation, they do policy, they do regulation today. What I want to add to that criteria is now how do you do analytics to enable the best legislation, the best policy, the core correction going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. So, whenever we talk about government, we think about President Duterte's Build program. And one of the buzzwords that came with it was smart cities. We've seen a lot of interest when it comes to smart cities, but really when we talk to the different personalities who have this vision of converting their city into one of the smart cities, the question remains is that where do we start and how do we start it? So to share some of his highlights on his upcoming talk later after lunch, we have Mr. Asif Lakdawala, our Principal Industry Consultant for Smart Cities and IoT.
Good afternoon, everyone. Although I think I've heard most of you guys have joined the morning session, I would urge you to kind of join the afternoon session if you can, so that there will be more clarity on what we are going to present. But I'll try to, in a very concise form, tell you a little bit about smart cities and what we've been observing globally. So when we work with a lot of governments globally in understanding how they want to start deploying smart city solutions, we come up with the main problem of how do you run analytics and how do you deploy them, right? So what is an outcome? It's not only about their data that they're collecting. They are definitely collecting data. Governments have been collecting data for years. I mean, you've seen, just the form of data has changed. You all dusted files earlier, now they all stored into computers, right? The challenge is, how do you make meaningful insights out of these data? That's where analytics comes in. And how do you deploy them? Let me give you an example. Smart meters have come and been rolled out globally for I think about the last 10 years. Countries have been rolling out smart meters. Data every 15 seconds has been generated. A huge amount of storage is now available at cheap cost, and everybody is storing that data. What do you do of that data? Utilities and governments need to start analyzing the data, understand the hotspots of where the consumption is, and start planning. Start planning where the new communities can be built. Start planning their own infrastructure. So that's deployment. Deployment is not about just visualizing it on a dashboard, but actually making that outcome count in an action that you would otherwise have taken based on just your judgment, or someone feels, has a pulse of that city and feels this should happen. Right? So that's the challenge that we are facing. My colleagues have talked about silos. Eventually, I think silos are going to break down. It's not about someone making it as a project that I'm going to break down that silo. No, it's about the outcome. Like I just said, that if someone wants to plan where a new healthcare center has to be set up, a primary healthcare center has to be set up, you will need data from the environmental agency to understand what are the pollution indicators in that area, and you would need to know who are the at-risk population there. Are there children there? Is there a school there? Is there industrial premise there? And all those data sets will be available with different government agencies. Someone will have to integrate all these together to now come at a decision of where is the new primary healthcare center that will be set up. So it's no longer the cheapest plot of land or just an available plot of land that I have and therefore I set up a primary healthcare center. It's no longer only that the demographics that area demands. No, it's about the air control, the pollution control regulations that you have in place, the current infrastructure that you have in terms of monitoring that, the current healthcare infrastructure that you have, the estimated new industry setups, etc. Right? So silos will eventually break down. But I think governments also tasked with a very different challenge in terms of knowledge and skills. People have been doing a lot of work in terms of manual processes. Those manual processes are now being automated. So it's not about replacing those people, but it's about empowering them, giving them newer skills so that they can do things which they are best at. Human beings are best at using their common sense, using their intuitive skills, etc. Machines are good at ingesting lots of data, running algorithms, etc. You merge both of them together, and you have a very formidable process in place for you to give you the desired outcomes. So smart cities is not only about I think smart cities globally is being taken, in a context that it is just the digitization of the systems or the services. Someone logs in online or someone just uses some online portal for payment, that's smart. That's not smart. The process behind it is more smart. So I will analyze how many people have used my portal, right? At what times have they used, and then come out with a service offering which is more suitable to them. That is smart, right? So it is not merely the digital interface, but how many times it has been used, where it has been used, for me to take a decision on what is the next product that I can offer. Right? So with this I'll kind of wrap up. I hope I've been able to explain, but there are a lot more examples that I can give you. If you have the time, please definitely join us in the afternoon session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I guess now we will open the floor for any questions from our press. So kindly just approach to the microphone in the middle, and as you ask the questions, please state your name as well as the agency that you represent.